The warning that came too late. The Galactic Council never feared humanity. They were a young species, barely a few centuries into space travel. To the great empires of the galaxy, Earth was just another primitive world, full of ambition but lacking real power. The Exalvoran Empire, the strongest military force in the known universe, saw them as insignificant. But that was before the warnings came. Strange signals from Sol. It started with faint energy readings near the edge of the Sol system. Deep space probes belonging to the Galactic Intelligence Network detected massive power fluctuations, the kind seen only during the activation of superweapons or the movement of Dreadnought-class warships. At first, no one paid attention. Humanity did not possess the technology to build such weapons. They were still new to the galactic stage, still struggling to establish colonies beyond their home system. No empire believed they were capable of such an engineering feat. Then, the signals grew stronger. Exalvoran scouts were sent to investigate. None returned. The Exalvoran Emperor dismissed it as a malfunction, but concerns started spreading. The Galactic Council received scattered reports. Rumors whispered in the shadows. Something enormous was being built in the darkness beyond Pluto. Then came the final warning. The last transmission. The Exalvoran Empire, eager to prove humanity's weakness, sent a small fleet of scout ships to the edge of Sol. The mission was simple. Scan, observe, report. For days, there was silence. Then, a single transmission was received. It was garbled, full of static, but one phrase was clear. It's not a ship, it's a planet. And then, nothing. The fleet was gone. The Galactic Council finally took notice. If the Exalvoran Empire scouts had been destroyed, then something was very wrong. The shadow in the dark. Another fleet was dispatched, larger this time. 50 warships, armed with the latest scanning technology, entered the Sol system, staying just outside human territory. They approached slowly, shields raised, weapons armed. And then, the stars flickered. Something moved in the darkness, something massive. A shadow, stretching for miles, blocking the light of distant stars. At first, they thought it was an asteroid. But then the shadow shifted. The Exalvoran commanders ordered their ships to retreat. But it was already too late. A deep mechanical hum vibrated through space. Energy readings spiked beyond measurable limits. And then, a planet-sized warship came into view. The galaxy wasn't ready. The warship was not like anything the galaxy had ever seen. It was not a station, not a moon, but a fully operational battle planet. Its surface was layered with titanium armor, thick enough to withstand planetary bombardments. Cannon arrays, missile silos, and energy turrets covered every mile of its surface. It was a fortress, a moving world of war. The Exalvoran fleet panicked. They had prepared for a battle, but not for this. This was something beyond war. This was extinction-level power. The fleet tried to escape. Only 3 ships made it out alive. The rest were erased in an instant. The survivors transmitted the recordings to the Galactic Council. The footage spread across the universe in mere hours. The great empires of the galaxy watched in horror. The Galactic Council convened an emergency meeting. Panic spread among the rulers of the universe. How could humans build something like this? One alien leader asked. The answer was simple. Because no one ever believed they could. Humanity had been underestimated for too long. And now, the galaxy was about to learn the truth. The war had already begun. Humanity's impossible feat. The Exalvoran fleet never stood a chance. The few ships that survived the encounter with the planet-sized warship fled back to their empire, their captains too terrified to speak. When their reports finally reached the Galactic Council, no one believed them at first. A warship the size of a planet. It was impossible. Even the most advanced civilizations struggled to build city-sized dreadnoughts. The resources, the technology, the energy requirements, No empire in the galaxy had ever attempted something so insane. And yet, humanity had done it. The secrets of the Oort cloud. As the galaxy reeled in shock, intelligence operatives scrambled to uncover how this was even possible. Humanity had always been seen as a minor species, still learning the basics of interstellar war. How could they have built something so massive without anyone noticing? Then the truth emerged. For centuries, humans had been expanding beyond their homeworld, but not in the way the galaxy expected. Instead of focusing on conquering planets, they had turned their attention to the Oort cloud, the vast, frozen wasteland of their solar system. For hundreds of years, deep space shipyards had been hidden there, concealed by asteroids and radiation fields. Thousands of warships had been built in silence, each larger than the last. And at the heart of it all, the planet-sized warships had taken form. The rise of the war machines. These warships were not just giant ships. They were mobile planets, equipped with self-sustaining ecosystems, capable of housing millions of soldiers and engineers. Cannon arrays so large that they could destroy fleets in a single blast. Shields so strong they could withstand supernova-level energy surges. Artificial gravity systems that could destabilize enemy ships from light years away. Commanders that controlled fleets with the precision of a god. Humanity had not built warships. They had forged titans of war. The Exalvoran response. The Exalvoran Empire, humiliated and enraged, refused to accept the truth. The Emperor called an emergency war council. The decision was made. Destroy the humans before they could use their new power. The Exalvoran fleet mobilized. 10,000 warships, the greatest fleet in the galaxy, set course for the Sol system. Their mission was clear: wipe out Earth before these war machines could be mass-produced. The Galactic Council, desperate to prevent an all-out war, tried to intervene. But it was too late. The largest battle in galactic history was about to begin. And the galaxy would never be the same again. The first strike. The Exalvoran Empire believed in overwhelming force. Their fleets had conquered hundreds of worlds. Their war machine had crushed every species that stood against them. No one had ever survived a full-scale Exalvoran assault. They were confident, arrogant. But this time was different. The invasion begins. 10,000 warships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. It was the largest invasion force ever assembled. Dreadnoughts, carriers, battleships, enough firepower to wipe out entire civilizations. Their strategy was simple: strike fast, strike hard, and leave nothing behind. The first target was Jupiter, where the Exalvoran forces had lost their scouts. They expected resistance, maybe a small fleet, maybe orbital defenses. Instead, they found nothing. For an entire day, the Exalvoran fleet advanced unopposed. No human ships, no response. Just the cold silence of space. It was too easy. Then, everything changed. The ambush. Without warning, the stars above them flickered and died. The Exalvoran fleet's sensors malfunctioned all at once. Gravity fields twisted. Lights dimmed. Shadows stretched across their ships. And then, the warship appeared, a planet-sized titan. It did not decloak. It had always been there, hidden in the darkness of deep space. An entire artificial world, now awake, staring down at the invaders like a god preparing to pass judgment. The Exalvoran commanders panicked. They had never seen anything so massive, so terrifying. Their weapons locked on, their fleet prepared to fire. They never got the chance. The wrath of humanity. The warship moved. Not like a ship, but like a moon shifting in orbit, its engines humming with the power of a dying star. Then came the first shot. A single cannon, larger than a city, fired a beam of energy straight through the Exalvoran formation. One blast. 2,000 warships disintegrated. The Exalvoran fleet was thrown into chaos. They tried to fight back, but their weapons barely scratched the Titan's hull. Their strongest torpedoes bounced off its shields like raindrops. And then the second shot fired. Another 1,000 ships vanished in an instant. The once mighty Salvoran fleet, the strongest in the galaxy, was falling apart. Desperate escape. The Exalvoran commanders had never known fear like this. They screamed for retreat. Ships turned and ran, abandoning their mission, abandoning their honor. Only a handful escaped to warn the rest of the galaxy. Thousands of ships wiped out in minutes. And at the center of the destruction, the planet-sized warship remained, unmoving, untouched. The message was clear. Humanity had arrived, and they were unstoppable. The galaxy watches in horror. The destruction of the Exalvoran fleet sent shockwaves across the galaxy. 10,000 warships, gone. The mightiest military force in the universe had been crushed in minutes by a single human war machine. No one had seen it coming. The broadcast that shook the universe. Survivors of the Exalvoran fleet had barely escaped, but they brought something with them, recordings. Every empire, every faction, every ruler watched in horrified silence as the footage spread across the galactic networks. The entire invasion force annihilated. The warship was too large, too powerful, too perfect. It moved like a planet. Its weapons could erase entire fleets, and its shields defied every known law of warfare. And worst of all, it was only one of many. The Council's emergency meeting. The Galactic Council, a gathering of the most powerful civilizations, called for an immediate emergency session. Panic filled the chamber. "This is impossible," a Krell ambassador hissed. "No species could build something like that." But they did. Another voice answered, trembling. And they destroyed the Exalvoran fleet like it was nothing. The Exalvoran Emperor himself stood before the council, his face pale with rage and fear. "We must strike back. We must show strength." But the truth was clear. There was no way to strike back. Humanity had stayed quiet for centuries, but now the galaxy understood why. They had not been weak. They had been building, preparing, waiting. And when the time came, they unleashed the most terrifying war machine ever created. Fear spreads across the stars. The Exalvoran Empire was shattered. Their military might was gone. Their colonies trembled in fear, expecting human retribution. But humanity did not invade. They did not send threats. They simply waited. And that was far worse. Every empire watched and waited, fearing the next move. Would Earth claim vengeance? Would they demand surrender? Or worse, would they stay silent and build more? The silence was unbearable. The first surrender. The first empire to break was the Terek Dominion, a warrior race that had long mocked humanity as weak. Their ruler sent a message to Earth. "We do not seek war. We will honor human sovereignty." One by one, other empires followed. Treaties were rewritten. Borders were redrawn. The balance of power had changed overnight. No empire dared to challenge Earth now. The humans had spoken without speaking. And the galaxy had listened. The universe holds its breath. The Exalvoran Emperor refused to accept defeat. He still had worlds, armies, and fleets across the stars. But deep inside, he knew the truth. The moment humanity decided to strike, his empire was already gone. So he waited, along with the rest of the galaxy. Because there was only one question left. Would the humans be merciful, or would they finish what they started? The ultimate power shift. The galaxy had never known peace, only power. For centuries, the Salvoran Empire had ruled through fear. Their fleets had crushed rebellions. Their armies had conquered entire species. But now, the balance had shifted. Humanity had done the impossible. They had broken the unbreakable empire. And now, the entire universe waited for their next move. The Exalvoran's last gamble. The Exalvoran Emperor refused to accept defeat. He gathered his last remaining fleets, called upon allies, and sent a message to every empire. If humanity is to rule, they will have to take this galaxy in blood. It was a desperate call to arms, but no one answered. The empires that once feared the Exalvoran now feared something greater. They had seen the footage. They had witnessed the destruction. They knew what was coming. And so, they did the one thing no one had ever imagined. They turned their backs on the Exalvoran, the fall of an empire. Alone and abandoned, the Exalvoran Emperor had no choice but to send a message to Earth. The message was simple. What do you want? For the first time in history, the Exalvoran Empire begged. The entire galaxy waited, breathless, for humanity's answer. Would they destroy their enemies? Would they claim the throne of the universe? The response came in a single transmission, broadcasted to every empire. We want peace, but we will never be threatened again. That was all. No demands, no invasions, no empire building. The message was clear. Humanity did not seek to rule. But if anyone dared to challenge them again, the warships were waiting. A new order begins. With the Exalvoran Empire broken, the Galactic Council was forced to restructure everything. Treaties were rewritten. Borders were redefined. Humanity, once seen as a minor species, now held the deciding voice in the galaxy. But Earth made no claims, asked for no tributes, and took no colonies. Instead, they stationed their planet-sized warships at the edges of their system, watching. The message was clear. They were the silent guardians, the protectors of their own. No empire dared to cross them. The legend of humanity. In the years that followed, a strange thing happened. Stories spread, tales of the warships, rumors of more hidden beyond the void. Some believed humanity had built an entire fleet of planet-sized war machines, waiting in the darkness for the day they would be needed again. Others believed the humans had built something even worse, weapons beyond imagination, capable of erasing entire star systems. No one knew for sure, but no one was willing to find out. The galaxy's silent guardians. The humans did not conquer. They did not rule. But the galaxy would never forget what had happened. And whenever an empire thought of war, they would look toward the Sol system and remember the day humanity built warships the size of planets. The day the galaxy changed forever. The silent guardians of the galaxy. Decades passed. The war was over, but the galaxy had changed forever. Humanity did not expand. They did not conquer. They simply watched. The planet-sized warships remained at the edges of the Sol system, drifting in the void like silent titans. Unmoving, unstoppable, unchallenged. The galaxy had once mocked humanity. Now, they feared their silence more than their weapons. The warships that never fired again. No one knew how many warships Earth had truly built. The first one had been revealed in battle, but rumors spread of dozens more hidden beyond the void, orbiting in the darkness of deep space. Some claimed there were hundreds, each bigger than the last. Others whispered that humanity had built something even worse, weapons capable of erasing entire star systems in a single strike. No one could confirm it. No one dared to find out. A galaxy ruled by fear or respect. The Exalvoran Empire was gone, its former colonies fractured and leaderless. The once mighty fleets that had terrorized the galaxy were now nothing more than ruins, reminders of their arrogance. A new balance of power formed. Empires that had once warred for dominance now sought diplomacy instead. Trade flourished, treaties strengthened. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. There was no victory against humanity. The guardians of Sol. Despite their overwhelming power, humanity never made another move. Their fleets remained within their borders, their warships waiting, their technology hidden. But everyone knew the truth. If another war began, if another empire dared to rise and threaten them again, the warships would awaken. And this time, there would be no survivors. The final warning. In every spaceport, in every colony, a single phrase was passed down, whispered among alien rulers and military leaders alike. Never threaten the humans. Because in the cold silence of deep space, hidden beyond the stars, the warships were waiting. And they always would be.